Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wisdom Whispers with Abhishek Mittal. You must be thinking, what is Wisdom Whispers? Wisdom Whispers is an initiative to support budding professionals with invaluable insights and practical advice directly from seasoned corporate professionals. We will invite guests from varied backgrounds and seeking their opinion on a topic which can bridge the gap between academic knowledge and real world application. I have witnessed that young professionals face a number of challenges in the early part of their career, and most of the time, they are unsure whom to reach out to and resources to look at for their questions. Just to bridge that gap, I'm starting this podcast journey to guide budding professionals with the real life corporate hacks. Now, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm a management consulting professional with nearly 2 decades of corporate experience in varied industries, serving different roles. I'm currently working with a Fortune 500 company in Singapore as Director M&A. My family and friends call me an organizer, planner, and achiever. And outside of that, I love traveling, exploring new places, and enjoy spending time with friends and family. Now, quickly jump onto the topic, which we'll be discussing today. Before we get into the topic, let me put across a quotation by Dale Carnegie. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you. Yes, we will be talking about relationship building today. And as early as civilization began, humanity understood the need for healthy relationships. And the times, especially when the rise of the internet and it induced hyperconnectivity, navigating relationships have never been so complicated. More of more so when it comes to professional relationships. So to discuss on this topic, we have Ankit Kohli as our guest today. Ankit is a research and investing professional with nearly 2 decades of international experience setting up research units across the world. He's currently the founder and director of Pure Research Private Limited, a custom research organization that works with corporate and financial services institutions. He's an avid reader and a lifelong learner who considers himself a student of business, economics, behavioral finance, and history. Ankit is also a foodie who likes to explore new cuisines and enjoys spending time with his friends and family. Ankit, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. It's been quite some time we have met in person, so it's always good to have you here. And before we get into the topic of relationship building, right, would like to understand your career trajectory, how you have done and what you are doing right now, right? So would like to hear from you.
Sure. So, I am an engineer by education, but not by heart. And I decided to move into the research field very early on in my career. And I thought that was my calling. And ever since, over the last almost 2 decades, I've been, pursuing my interest in the research field of research and investing. I started off, working at a multinational organization in the research field where I was, responsible for setting up teams in India and abroad, working for clients across various geographies and work types, and just trying to understand businesses, economies. That always excited me. So I spent 5 years doing that, and working with teams and clients worldwide. And then I decided to venture off on my own. And back in 2012, we formed Pure Research Private Limited. So I'm currently the founder and director over there. And we pretty much do the same thing. We're a research firm, that provides outsourced solutions to clients worldwide. And doing this has allowed me to pursue my passion of conducting research and marrying it with in my professional calling,
Mhm.
really, right. And over a period of time, we've tried to hone our skills enough to now venture even into investing, where we are investing our own capital and our own profits into the areas where we believe there's value. So that's been my career progression, and that's where I am right now.
Great, great. Glad to hear that. So, Ankit, directly getting into the conversation of building relationships, right? So, how how important this skill is in the professional life?
I think it's one of the most important soft skills that any professional needs,
Hmm.
right? So for any professional, if you really think about it, right? You have two types of skills that are required. One are your functional skills,
Right.
right? And the
Yeah.
other are your soft skills. So functional skills would be if you're an engineer and if you're pursuing that, if you pursued some business education and you're pursuing that. Similarly, you could be a lawyer or an accountant, and so there's certain technical or functional skill sets that come, which you get a handle of while you're graduating and in your post graduation, and then you kind of continue honing them throughout your career. And then there are soft skills that anybody coming into the corporate world needs to start picking up. uh, Now, among all the soft skills, I think communication and relationship building are the top two skills, and both these are really joint at the hip,
Right.
right? They go hand in hand, and you cannot pursue one without the other.
Yeah.
So I think they're very important. They both of them are built incrementally, gradually, and continually over the course of your career, and you need to put in consistent efforts and get better at these if you need to really progress in the corporate world. And for that matter, just be successful by yourself also. It's not just about uh, that relationship building is important for getting your next promotion or your next
Hmm.
job. These are good skills to have forever if you want to be successful in whatever you're doing, whether you're running your own venture, whether you're working in the corporate world, or for that matter, even if you're retired, right? Communication and relationship building are extremely critical.
And it's also important in the personal life, right? Because if you are a good communicator as well as have good relationship building, it impacts your personal life as well. Right.
Absolutely, 100%. There's people respond to people who they have a good relationship with, right? So
Right.
that's the way it is. Whether that's in personal life or professional life, it's important in both ways, and that's why the path to building these relationships is fairly similar if you really take a very high view of it. But yeah, it's important both personally and professionally.
I remember, like, it's not a one time endeavor, right? It's an ongoing effort. So once you start getting into building relationship or with someone whom you want to build a good relationship, you cannot just do it like, oh, now I have a good relationship, I can sit back, right? It's a continuous effort. You have to keep investing into that relationship, whether
Always.
it's personal, whether it's professional. And it's in personal, I think it's more required. But again, it's professional we are talking about. This is one aspect which we need to continuously look at it, continuously nurture our relationships. We have to keep investing, keep connecting with that person. And the one thing which I understand is, like, you need to hit the notes with that person. That's what is more important in building relationships.
Yeah.
Right. Great, great. Moving on to what you think, if a professional who's entering into the corporate world, or who's already in the corporate life and new into the corporate life, maybe a 1 year 2 year,
Hmm.
I think they are still new to the corporate world. What are the things which they should look at while they are thinking of building relationships, right? Maybe 3 4 key aspects they should work on it, because it's this skill is not a skill which you inherit, right? You have to work on it really hard so that you build good relationships with people, and then it helps you in your longer term career trajectory, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great question. And really, if you try to think about what all is required, you start with the basics, right? A relationship is about two people, right?
Yeah.
So the first two of the 3 4 points that we'll probably discuss are just about that. So start with yourself, and with yourself, the first thing is to be authentic,
Hmm.
right? So you really need to stand for something. And why is that important? It's important because others need to relate you with something specific, right?
Right.
What do you stand for? Are you somebody who's very good at his work, is very reliable,
Hmm.
very productive, very delivering very high quality work? Are you very punctual? What all describes you as a person, right? So it's important to be authentic here, because you cannot fake it, right?
Yeah.
Because as you said, this thing happens over a period of time. So doing it one time doesn't really help, right? So you need to be able to do your work when you're entering your professional life consistently well, to be able to build such relationships with anybody, whether it's your junior, whether it's your seniors, whether somebody in your organization or outside. So being yourself is the key, because unless people are able to relate you with something specific, they will not want to form relationships, right? And it's possible that even after they relate you with something, that's not an area of interest for them, and that's fine. You don't have to mean everything to everyone, as long as you mean something to someone. Yeah. Right? So there'll be people who will interest you, and there'll be people who you find interesting, and there'll be people who will find interest in working together, and that's fine. If it's a limited set, that's not a problem. So first thing is being authentic, and second, you need to understand that relationship is a two-way street, right?
Yeah.
So you need to think of what is the value that you're adding to the other person here, right? And that doesn't mean that you're sucking up to somebody or always trying to offer fake praise or anything. That's a slight misconception. What that means is you really need to take genuine interest in people you like and you want to build relationships with, right? You need to go out of your way and take initiatives to be part of what they are doing at that time. So specifically, since you mentioned people who are just entering the corporate life or about to do so, taking initiatives, uh, reaching out to people within teams and understanding what's going on beyond just the immediate work that's been allocated to you, I think is a very good way to start building relationships. Because keep in mind, anybody who's just entering the corporate world is an unknown entity.
Yep.
Right? After a decade or 2 decades, you stand for something and people associate you with something. But while you're entering the corporate world, it's important to establish that brand. And how do people know what you're good at? And how will you be able to communicate it to anybody till you really reach out and engage with people? So you need to take proactive steps in areas of your interest and in people who you admire, right? And then go and try to build those relationships with them at certain point. So that's very important. So first point was what do you stand for, and second is taking genuine interest in others, because ultimately it's about what do you bring to the table for the other person, right? uh, your growth is not the only thing that matters in a relationship. The other person's growth is equally important. So I think the third point here is what we touched upon at the start of the conversation, which is communication. So important communication is the bedrock of a good relationship, right? Whether it's personal or professional, it's no difference. And your communication has to be consistent, it has to be clear, and it has to be transparent, because all professional relationships are also trust based. Yep. Right? And so when people see you communicate in a certain fashion, and they can trust your communication, and they can have faith in what you're saying, that lends a lot of stability and strength to your relationship at a professional level. So you know for example, for people again entering into the corporate world, if you're trying to build relationship with your clients, right? And if your word doesn't stand for something, if you're not delivering on time, if you're not delivering high quality work, or if your communication is wobbly or cannot be trusted, it becomes very difficult in a virtual world where people are sitting miles apart and they don't really meet all the time. Communication is very important, right? So the key to building that, one of the keys is having good communication.
No,
Right.
absolutely. I can relate it back to a lot of people with whom I have worked with. They are and every individual is different, right?
Right.
And that's why it's important to build this skill set. And communication does not mean that they have to be perfect in the language, right? Because sometimes it perceived like, oh, I need to be perfect in the language. It's not about perfection in the language, but in terms of how confident you are.
Yeah.
And are you able to put forward your point across, right? That's very important. And I can relate back to it. A lot of people I have nurtured over my career, that I've seen people who are good communicators, and they know what they are, and they are very good in building relationships. Why?
Yeah.
Because they know their skill set, they know their strengths, and then when you come forward as a thorough professional, right? And then you can see that, yes, I can trust this person. And another important aspect which I can just add to it is respect.
Yeah.
Right? When you are dealing with your clients, when you're dealing with your juniors and seniors, you need to be respectful. And that's another part of relationship building, because sometimes people coming from college, they think in the college and in the other life, you can be a little bit not so
Casual.
respectful,
Yeah.
casual
Yeah.
in nature. But when you enter into a corporate world, you have to change that bit of it of yourself,
The
right?
professionalism kicks
And
in.
that's very important sometimes. And I think that's one of the biggest learning I have seen when we see people coming directly from graduations and post-graduation colleges. You see that, oh, they are still using lingos, they are just like very casual, and they need to change that once. And that helps in building relationships for a longer term. With some casualness, you can build good relationships, but that will not be professional
Yeah,
relationships.
not serious
Yeah,
relationships.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and I think the last thing, or the fourth thing, which I wanted to add was, sometimes you just need to do good for no reason, right? So that's also very important,
yeah.
because it could be something as simple as, appreciating somebody for the good work that they've done,
Mhm.
right? Or if you come across an opportunity which is a fit for somebody else, not for you, you just refer or recommend that person, right? And as you said, treating people with respect. So just being good for no reason. You're not trying to collect a coupon here that,
Mhm.
I did something for you, and you're going to do something for me. Not with that intention. Just be good for no reason, and you'll be surprised how that works. People remember if somebody was good to them, and for no reason, right? And that somebody took out time for them, or that somebody recommended them, or that somebody just pat them on the back. Even when they build relationship with seniors, some of the most effective relationships are one where you not really even worked with that person
True.
for a very long time, but you got along so well due to a few interactions or just something, and those tend to have a very lasting impact. So just be good for no reason. That's
No,
another good way of building relationships.
absolutely. I can share two examples, and one is very near to me. So I was handling a team, and there was a new team member who has joined us, and I was not aware of it. Huh? I got to know when during my farewell, the person said, "Oh, this is why I think Abhishek is a good leader,
Hmm.
or I have a very good relationship with him."
Yeah.
So usually, a lot of team members join you during your like when they during the campus placements time, right? So I have an habit, like I do check with people that have they had their lunches or not, because sometimes when you start working, you really try to skip your lunches or meals. So I checked with my team members, and I think that was the one particular incident which triggered to that individual that, oh, Abhishek is a good leader, because the person said that why I like Abhishek during the farewell, that 4 years back when I joined, he was the first person, the only person who asked me that have I had my lunch or not. And that's why, like, for
Yeah.
no reason, I was good.
It goes back to the second point. You made it about him.
Yeah.
You added value to him, or he thought you're caring,
Yeah.
right? And that's exactly, yeah, that's
And
very
and
important.
another example which I have. So I have a very good relationship with a one very senior person. Though we have never worked together, I just appeared in a one interview with that person.
Hmm.
The person was on the other side of the table, and I was the interviewee, and it didn't like turned out to be a next level thing. Like we
Sure.
never sorted out to be an employer and an employee of that firm, but that one conversation of 15-30 minutes, like I've hit the notes with that person, and I'm still in touch with that person, and we share such a good relationship with
Terrific.
together. And it's been like 15 years,
Right.
and we have never met after that.
Yeah.
It's just being professionally, we are still connected.
Yeah.
We connect sometimes on a lot of other things, like, oh, how you are doing, and what's going on, have you changed your job, or something like that, right? What's going on in professional life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
personal life, and all
Yeah.
those things. But
Yeah.
yeah, so these things do does plays a very important role.
I agree. Yeah.
So uh, great, great. And I think I can also take back these four mantras with me. So uh, great. Now moving further ahead, then the one thing which I think is very important, as find as which will help people building relationship, is finding a good mentor, right? So what are the benefits you think of having a good mentor at maybe at a workplace or maybe outside a workplace, who can help you nurture this relationship building as a skill set, right? So what are your thoughts around the mentorship and the role played by them?
I think mentorship is very important if you're able to identify the right mentor in
Mhm.
your field of interest, right? And I think the way to go about doing that, especially for people who are just starting off their professional
Yeah.
careers, first is to look inward into your network.
Hmm.
So a lot of people tend to start by looking outside as
Hmm.
to who can potentially be a mentor, as opposed to first looking inward. And what do I mean when I say looking inward? So you'll have if you're just coming out of college or you're just joining an organization, you'll have your professors, right? You'll have people probably in the same profession in your friends and family circle. You'll have probably seniors from your college who've just gone on to similar roles in similar organizations, right? So first, try to evaluate within your existing network if there's somebody who's doing the same thing as what you want to do,
Hmm.
and that person could prove to be a very good mentor for you, because not only is he doing something that you want, but you already have an existing relationship to start building on, right? And that is a very good starting point. If you do not have someone like that, you can always seek out mentors outside your immediate network. Now you could identify specific people. These days social media has made that relatively easy, not very easy, but
Hmm.
relatively easy. You can identify people in your field of interest, try and initiate contact with them. Most people, surprisingly, you'll see that they're very happy to share knowledge,
Yeah.
right? And if you're very transparent with them that I want to just maybe uh, pick your mind about a few things,
Hmm.
they'll be open to it, right? So you can do that. Or even within the new organization that you join, you can you can identify people. Sometimes organizations already assign mentors for you. You can have your immediate person who's training you, or you can identify somebody else within the organization and have a formal or an informal relationship with that person. Once you identified that person, it's important to maintain interest in that specific s- area, right? So you need to continuously have the right kind of questions. You need to have the right kind of feedback loop developed with that individual with whom you're trying to form this relationship, right? And then pursue it. So as investors, we all look up to the great Warren Buffett, right? And
Yeah.
he sought out Benjamin Graham, and he went to study, work with him when he was young, and he was willing to do it for no money, right? And so he sought out, he knew what he wanted to do, the kind of field he wanted to be in, and he sought out the person from whom he wanted to learn after reading his book, and then he approached him, and Benjamin Graham was gracious enough to let him into the circle and share his knowledge and take on the role of a mentor. Same goes for everybody, right? We can identify people around us. There's no ego in that, right? If
Yes.
somebody's more experienced, better than us, go ahead, do it. Identify the person, reach out to that person, and then try and make contact. Now that person, as I said, could be within your existing network,
Hmm.
could be outside your network, could be into the organization where you're just joining, or could be in some other place. It's important for you to look out and then do it. So, and that person can then help you accelerate your journey, both from a learning perspective and growth perspective within the corporate world. And outside that, of course, you need to read a lot, and to kind of grow. But mentorship can help if done in your field of area with the right person.
No, I think because, as you said, right, is your mentor ready to open up their channels as well, and that's where it helps. And I can relate back to the looking at inward, because when I started my career, my first point of contact was my professors.
Sure.
Be- because they had our seniors into the same field, and they used to interact with them, so they know what exactly the skill set is required in building relationships in the organization and how you can succeed in that.
Yeah.
So that helped me a lot as an individual. I can And I'm still in touch with my professors, so I can easily say that yes, they are the one source who helped me initially. And but as you said, mentorship is required because you're totally new to this world, and you need a guiding stick who can help you uh, with the new uh, requirements which are there in the corporate world to build relationships. And that's where a mentor can play a very very deep role in their
Yeah,
careers.
and the mentors can evolve over time. They might
Yeah.
you might have new mentors at different point in time, and at some point you will be the mentor. So
Mhm.
that's the other thing to keep in mind. So it's not like that you can only have one mentor, and you may not have any mentor. So it works always. To each his own. But you need to seek out the the right minds in your field to understand from them, whether it's through their through their books or through interacting with them, or howsoever it is. It's important to do that.
So, have you had any particularly impactful mentor in your career as well?
I cannot think of a single mentor like this. So, of course, I've tried to learn from everybody I've interacted with and worked with over a period of time, be it, people within the organization, outside the organization, even my clients.
Hmm.
So, I've always tried to learn from everybody who I get in touch with, especially in areas which are of interest to me. So I can't pick a single person like that. Uh, uh, if I have to pick a single source, it's probably reading. So I read a lot, based on books and everything written by people I admire and who are doing in well in fields of my interest. But not a single person. But over a period of time, as I said, both within my professional organizations and my client organizations, and outside that as well, you try and learn something from people you come in touch with. You need to be a constant learner. So that way is, yeah.
Okay, great. Um, so, I think you have already touched upon how social media is playing an important role these days, though not that important, but still it plays a very important role. And in this online world and in this virtual world now, it's very important now when you are not meeting people personally, because in a pre-COVID time we can easily say that, oh, we used to meet a lot of people personally. The clients used to travel to one place, and we used to go to them, and it used to be one-to-one meetings, physical connects. But now in this online world, in virtual world, how you think this social media is playing an important role in building good relationships? And I'm talking professional relationships. So maybe we can look at the platforms like LinkedIn,
Mhm.
right, which has been widely used by a lot of people to build good relationships as well as networking. So maybe if you can touch base on that.
Sure. So I think these are terrific tools to make initial contacts,
Hmm.
right? And so something like a LinkedIn helps you in a couple of ways in my view. One, as I said, you're able to identify the right person to get in touch with fairly easily. So you're able to make a initial connect with that person. And the other thing which these tools have done is they've basically uh, cut the limitations of geography, right? So
Hmm.
you are no longer restricted to building a relationship or seeking a mentor or getting in touch with somebody only who lives close to you or who you physically met. You're sitting in India, you can build relationship with somebody in Europe, in the US, in LATAM, in APAC, wherever you want, right? So I think these are two very big advantages that a platform like LinkedIn brings, that you get professionals in your field who with whom you're able to make initial contact. The important thing that people need to remember while leveraging these tools is that uh, you know these are just the first step toward building a relationship.
Hmm.
This is not the relationship in itself,
Yeah.
right? So just having somebody as your contact on LinkedIn doesn't mean that you really have a relationship with that person.
Right.
The journey of building that relationship actually starts after somebody's become your contact,
Hmm.
right? And it has to go through that same process of nurturing. Content creation is the top contributor to that process, in my view, on how you can build a good relationship, what you stand for, what people can relate with you, what people can relate you for, and vice versa, right? So you'll need to invest that time. again, referrals, recommendations, those kind of things will have to come in. But you need to keep in mind it's going to take time.
Yeah.
So no all professionals should have this in mind, that whether you're going through LinkedIn or some other social media channel, they are not any fast tracks to success or
Hmm.
relationship building. They're the first stepping stones, and from there you'll need to invest, you'll need to engage, you'll need to get in touch, you'll need to exchange thoughts without pestering. Really, it cannot be too frequent even. So you'll need to maintain that loop, and over a period of time you'll get good relationships. I've personally had a few people who I have connected with through, let's say, a platform like LinkedIn, and I can confidently say they are good relationships that I've built. But I can also say that they were not built overnight. They were
Yeah, yeah.
not built the day I connected with that person. It's only after a while of engagement you see areas of common interest. uh, you will probably be part of the same groups on a platform, and that's how you'll go and seek, right? That's a good way. So to look at, there are various subgroups on LinkedIn, right?
Hmm.
There's a management consulting group and research group, and group for engineers and lawyers and everything. So that's one good starting point for you to be part of those specific communities and groups on these platforms, because they'll be doing discussions which are of where you can contribute, where you can go and give your thoughts, and which those thoughts will be evaluated and they'll be respected, and then people will start engaging with you as well. So these are good link. Something like a LinkedIn is a good tool to make that start.
I think how LinkedIn can help young professionals is, like, as you said, like to identify a common interest point with that person, right? If you want to
Yeah.
connect with that person, you have to first identify that, oh, what he likes, and is there anything where I can contribute towards that, right? Because it's a two-way thing. Relationship building is not a one way.
Yeah.
You connect with that person, or you think that, oh, they are in my network, and if I need any help, I can always connect to them. It doesn't happen like that. So you need to identify a common interest point, and you need to contribute. So and as you said, like, I have also done the same. Whenever I find an individual with whom I think I should be connecting or should build good relationship with, that naturally you cannot build with 1,000 people, right? You need to go slow, and you need to understand what's the common theme where you both can connect, and then start contributing, because people on LinkedIn have such a wide area to look at.
Yeah.
And then you can start contributing. Okay, let's say I like management consulting, and if there is a another person who is specialized in that field, and if I'm connecting and he's putting up an article, and if I'm contributing towards that, the person will be able to recollect, because then you are hitting the string that yes, we have a common ground to look at, and now we can interact. And then you start building up relationships. Also, which colleges they are coming from, what are the sports they look at, because at least a good LinkedIn profile will have all this information.
Yeah.
If the person is very well covered through LinkedIn, then the person will be talking about, oh, these are my groups of interest, I'm a part of research group, consulting group, and XYZ. And then you can see, oh yeah, we have a common theme
Yeah.
around it.
Yeah.
And that's how LinkedIn plays an important role. I see, because as you said, mentorship, right? A lot of young professionals who connect with me through LinkedIn, and they say, Abhishek, I would like to know more about how management consulting works. And then we start building relationship with that,
Yeah.
because the person is asking, if I'm responding to that person and the person is responding back, then you build
And
relationships.
sometimes you might spot fire in a person, and you'll say, this is a person
You
that's
want to
worth.
hire?
Yeah, you want
So
to hire, or you want to be in touch with that person,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it works. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Absolutely, a very very powerful tools. But yes, you have to be very careful, and you have to keep building on that. You cannot just lying on it that, oh, I have a connect, I have a network there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's
A
my
contact
connection.
is not a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
So
right. Yeah.
that's a big learning for all of us. Contact is not a relationship. Okay. Uh, Moving on to another, I think this might need some little deep dive onto it. Now, when it comes to us as well. Now, when people join the corporate world, right, there are different age groups, and you cannot follow a one preset guidelines to build relationship, because everyone has a different need to build relationship. Gen Z has a different needs, us, we have a different need, and the people even older than us in a different age group, they have a different needs of building relationship. So uh, what you think uh, the professionals should do to bridge that gap between different age groups, and how they can make that effective?
Sure. I think the best way to make those relationships, especially when you're entering the corporate world, is to be a learning machine.
Mhm.
And why do I say that? Because the minute you display your eagerness to learn, you're basically telling the seniors and the next age group that you're referring to here that I'm here to imbibe from you,
Mhm.
right? Think of think of a good cricket team, right? It cannot have all just freshers and youngsters in
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You need a mix of people who have experienced in your lineup, and then you need some fresh blood, fearless, who's willing to explore new ideas and go out there and play like that. So any good team, any good corporate organization is structured very similarly. You'll always have people who are just entering into the organization, and then you'll have always have people who are slightly mature in that organization, and you need both.
Yes.
And so when you enter a new organization, it's important to develop a good feedback loop with people who are senior
Mhm.
than you. You also need to respect the fact that they've had more experience, and there could be some ideas that you have right now
Mhm.
which somebody might have already thought about,
Yes.
right? And so every time something gets somebody tells you this is not how it works, it's not, then they're not really looking down on you.
Mhm.
It's just that because of experience, they've already seen that. And there could be other times when you bring in a freshness to that specific project or team, and which is taken grasped with both hands by seniors in that team. So developing a good feedback loop is very important there. I'll give you my personal example. When I was starting out, in the field of research, we were building some models, market sizing models,
Mhm.
and I had the enthusiasm. I'll get each number right to the last decimal point, right? And some people who were in this team who were senior to me kind of indicated that you'll need to take some assumptions,
Yep.
right? There's no there's no perfect model per se. You'll get some data points exactly, and then others you'll have to assume. But I kept insisting, I'll really get to the last decimal point, data point I'll search. But eventually it didn't work like that, right? And then I realized that that earlier feedback that I got was right, and I had to course correct. Other times some ideas which I floated were accepted.
Yeah.
So that is how it works. So you will need to bring in your fresh ideas, but you'll also need to learn a lot from people in the organization who are already there, who've been there, done that. And that's how that feedback loop is developed. That's how mutual respect is developed. That's how those people will understand what you are bringing to the table, and you'll understand what does their experience count for. Because remember, in a while the roles will reverse. You will be senior and there'll be new people that join your team, right? And then they look up to you, and they look up for your advice, and you'll also be faced with the same challenge that this person is bubbling with ideas, and I don't want to strike him down. But sometimes you need to take business calls, right? And so those are delicate parts to manage, but the best way to make that relationship and grow that relationship is to be a learning machine who has an open mind and with very high degree of tolerance. Remember that if somebody is rejecting an idea, that person is not contesting you. That's especially in knowledge driven fields like research, consulting, and all. Your job is to generate ideas, right? And nobody has 100 perfect ideas out of 100. So if somebody is just contesting your idea, just think about it like that. They're just contesting the idea. They don't dislike me. It's just an idea which has probably has a somebody has a better solution to this same problem. So I think that's a good way to look at it, to treat people who are in the organization senior to you with respect. take their experience and learn from them, and in the meanwhile contribute. So I think that's how I would go about it if I were starting.
Thanks for sharing that, Ankit. Uh, I think that's coming from my experience, and I have seen the teams with different age groups in the same team. And in my consulting life, when we were at the client side, we have partners, we have directors, senior managers, and then we have analysts. So, and these analysts are coming from a Gen Z, and they have their knowledge is different, right? And the partners, and they have a different skill set, and they and they know other part of the world. So sometimes what used to happen is these people are talking about something which us we are not aware of. And then they have to draw a line that where they need to stop about those things, because sometimes those, as you said, right, those are the aspects they might have already looked at it. And there are certain things which they might think that, oh, we have never thought about it. And we haven't looked at that as a new thing, because and it's both ways. They gain from you, and you gain from them. I still remember we were discussing on a project about investments, right? And you're also very near to that. And these Gen Z people start talking about bitcoins, and I'm talking about 5 8 years back when it was a buzz, right? And the partner was not aware of. So there was a population who was like, what exactly it is, because we know about these 5 6 investment types. So oh, can you put up a presentation, or can you explain me what exactly it is? And that's how you build relationships, because when you are sharing the things which the other people don't know, and I'm talking about the age groups,
Yeah.
and that's it, that matters, right? Because these people uh, within their age group, they might be knowing about bitcoins by heart, and oh, these are the aspects which we need to look at, these are the platforms where we can invest and whatnot. But there are people, so you need to find that, you need to bridge that gap.
Sure.
And that helped a lot. I think considering being part of that team, I can imagine that the people have different aspirations, and people have different knowledge base, and they're open to learning. And you, as a people who are coming fresh into the corporate life, they need to understand that. And that's how you can bridge that gap of age group, because sometimes you feel uncomfortable when you get into and every organization is different. Because what happens is, like, when you get into a tech organization, you see everyone is around 30 35, right? But when you get into an engineering organization, then you see that, oh, these are like 45 55 years old people, and how I can build relationship with them, because they might have kids of my age. And is it good enough to build a good relationship with them? Absolutely. But you might have to hit the different string with them. You cannot talk about things which they don't understand, because then it's very difficult to build relationship. And that's very important when what type of organization you are getting into. And I have seen that.
I agree.
Engineering organizations, like when I entered there, I was like young, 28, 30 years old. And then I see, people are about to retire. Do you think that I will be able to build relationship with them? But yes, I was able to, and they are retired, and I'm still in connect with them. So
And what did you do to build relationship with such
yeah.
people who were
So
about to retire?
yeah, then you talk about things which they have looked at in their past, right? That's how you start building a relationship. And then you share your knowledge with them, that, oh, these are the new things which are happening. Sometimes they will be amazed to see that, oh, these are things which are happening. Because I still remember at that point of time when I was doing that project, this Amazon Echo and these all these uh, devices have started coming, and they were not aware of. They said, oh, these devices can do so much of my work, and they can be helpful. Explain this to me. And that's how you build relationship. Because the first thing, as you said, hard skills. You need to talk to them on the content first. You need to build respect. You need to build that confidence with them, that yes, they can trust you, because they are that generation who believes in trust rather than anything else.
Yeah.
It's not like a new generation where you change your friends then and now. They are the people who might be sticking to an organization for 20, 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
I'm talking about those people, and
Yeah.
they have been in that organization for 35 years.
Yeah.
So it's that helps. I think one more aspect which we can touch base, and it's very uh, like a lot of people confuse that saying yes is a good way to build relationship. When you enter into a corporate world, your senior is saying something to you and you said, yes sir, I will do it, though you haven't asked enough questions, and then you have not thought about it, that how you will do it, and what are the right things you should know before you say yes. So do you think this is a one area where young professionals should work on it before they get into a corporate life, or they are into a corporate life?
Saying yes is the worst way to build a relationship. Is and there are multiple reasons for that. So if you look at how the corporate world has evolved over the last few decades, right? We moved from being a predominantly industrial and manufacturing oriented workforce to now being a knowledge oriented workforce,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And the expectations out of somebody working in a industrial setup on a manufacturing floor are very different from somebody who you're hiring for their knowledge, for their soft skills, for their ability to think,
Hmm.
right? And culturally also we're undergoing a change where it's no longer ji huzur for everything,
Yeah.
right? So saying yes doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. In fact, people will respect you more if you challenge ideas,
Hmm.
right? Now, uh, so when something is proposed, I'm not trying to say that you go outright and say no. That's
Yeah.
that's not the message of this discussion. The point is that you need to think independently before you reply in the affirmative or you reject an idea, right? So because if you bring constructive points on the other side of the argument, people will take you seriously. People will respect you. People will look forward to having your opinion, and it'll help you build good relationships. But if you are always just saying yes, uh, or if you're always saying no,
Hmm.
in both those cases, uh, people will tend to have a bias for or against you, and that is never good because if you're saying yes to everything, that typically means that you're either not thinking hard enough,
Hmm.
or there's a culture where you're not being encouraged to think enough, right? And if you're always saying no, then you can pass on the impression that this person is just contesting just for the sake of it,
Hmm.
for no. But if you bring constructive arguments for on any point, on any task assigned to you, on any problem, business problem that you're being asked to solve, for or against that specific solution, and you lay them out, communicate them effectively, and you do that consistently, you do these hard yards again and again and again over a period of time, people will understand that, and they'll respect you more for the value that you bring into these discussions,
Hmm.
as opposed to having a blanket yes or no answer. And yes, it's no longer that being somebody's favorite helps you get ahead in the corporate ladder. That's a very, very outdated way of thinking. It doesn't happen because everything is so transparent now with technology, with how people work, with the way you're evaluated and your performance is measured. Nobody can keep somebody who's good under wraps for long.
Yeah.
And if you're not good enough, you cannot get too ahead, right? Sure, there'll be some exceptions, but don't focus on too much on those exceptions. Look at the general thing, and the general way to approach it is be good at what you do, bring in constructive ideas to a discussion or to a business problem or a task, and whether then the answer is a yes or a no will matter less.
Yeah.
But saying yes to everything doesn't work.
No, right. I think I got your point. People have to think about it in terms of what are the hard skills they need to bring in to work, right? And that's I think that's the first aspect. We are not touching the hard skills because we are more touching the softer skills,
Different
because
for each
yeah,
profession. Yeah.
yeah, because that's different for each profession. But I think you need to build your ground in that, and then you execute the task assigned to you in that way, that how you have learned. It's not about I will I will be in a good books of my boss if I will always say yes,
Yeah.
or if I will contest him always. That even that doesn't work,
Yeah.
right? You need to be objective
Yeah.
in what you are saying, and challenge or ask questions. I will say, if not, if you don't understand the thing, by saying yes, it will not resolve that problem. You need to chat. You don't need to just challenge every time. You need to ask right questions for the ask assigned to you,
Yeah.
right? And that's very important. That will help you build good relationship, because people will understand that yes, you are thinking. Otherwise you can go in a defense mode, right?
Yeah.
And where you have to say yes to everything, and you follow the orders. But it is not the corporate world where you need to just say yes and just don't think. So it's you have to
Yeah.
think
That
through,
doesn't work. Yeah.
and that's very important. Uh, thanks, Ankit. It's great connecting with you. Before I close this section, I just like to put up two quotations in front of every uh, listener around, and I think that sums up very nicely about the discussion which we had today. Saying hello does not have an ROI, right? It's about building relationships, and that's by the Gary Vaynerchuk. So another one is my favorite is Patricia Fripp. So you don't close a sale, you open a relationship. I think that's what you said when you said I have a very trust based relationships with my clients where I don't have to sign the papers, right? So that's what it's important, that you don't sign something, that you open a relationship, you
Yeah.
don't close a sale. So Ankit, let's get into an unwind section. So we will not talk about building relationships anymore.
Mhm.
We'll talk about more of you. Would like to understand more about you. So it's kind of a rapid fire, but you can take your time to answer those questions. Uh, what is the most important lesson you have learned in your career?
Well, I think the most important lesson is you have to be the most hardworking person in the room when nobody's watching. So a lot of people associate hard work and I mean, I'll be working hard when someone's watching. There's some misplaced sense of trust and faith on something called smart work, which I've never been able to define for myself, at least. For me, it's if you're not working hard, I don't know how you get ahead. And you have to work hard when nobody's watching, right? That's the only way. As an entrepreneur or even as a professional, you need to think, because you're not doing it for someone else, you're doing it for yourself. So work hard, do the hard yards daily, consistently, over a period of time, and you'll do well. I think that's by far the most important lesson I've learned.
Very deep, very deep. um, One person you can pick their brain uh, while you are in a challenging situation, or you pick up one person's brain anytime.
Well, he's no longer with us, but the late Charlie Munger.
Oh,
Uh, I mean, he just left us like a few
yes.
weeks ago, but I admire and respect him a lot. I think he has extremely a very good thought process where he's able to think in terms of frameworks and mental models.
Hmm.
And I'm yet to come across anybody who can understand business, human psychology, history, and just behavior
Hmm.
as well as he could. Uh, so he's already shared a lot through his through the Berkshire meetings and all. But
Yeah.
if I was lucky enough, I would have had a chance to meet him. I think you can say my dream date.
One advice you want to give to a starting out of yourself, like if you have to give an advice to yourself at when you were 20, then what would have been that advice?
Dream big, dream very very big. Just the way our educational system is constructed, uh, we are almost trained to think incrementally, right? And you need to move out of that comfort zone, and you need to think big, not incremental, not just about my next job, my next promotion, my next salary hike, and next project or whatever. Those are important steps, but you need to think very very big, and that doesn't come naturally. So yeah, that would be the advice I'll give to myself 20 years ago. Think very big.
Good. And how How would your loved ones describe what you do?
I don't know really. I hope they say research and investing, but I've never asked them. Uh, uh, yeah, I don't know, to be very
Have
honest.
you ever interacted with your grandparents and they know what you do?
They gave some people, sometimes people are given very funny replies which I can't say here, so but some people get it, and some don't, but yeah, generally I think the family knows that it's more to do with research and investing, and but I can be caught, they could be surprised if I ask that question. I
So next time you should ask that question.
yeah, absolutely. Probably the immediate family does know, but extended, you never know what the reply would be.
No, absolutely. So you have talked a lot about reading as one of the things. So if you have to suggest any 2-3 books to the viewers, then which all books you will suggest to us?
Sure. Uh, I think the first one is a book called The Richest Man in Babylon. I think it should be made for compulsory reading in schools, colleges, and the first thing that anybody who's entering into professional life should read. And they should be made to read and reread.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of concepts it covers, and anybody who imbibes them, uh, they are they're very, very good and critical. So I think that is perhaps the best book that most young professionals can read, especially those who are starting out their life, professional life, I mean. Other books, one is a book called Atomic Habits.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I like that one, and there's also another one called The Halo Effect.
Yes.
I'm a fan. It's an incredible book. People should read. Yeah, I think these would probably be three. There are many more, but yeah, I think these three come to mind.
Great. Thanks, Ankit. Thanks for sharing that with us. Good to have you, and we'll catch up again.
Thank you for having me, Abhishek. It was great
Thanks.
being here.
So this was our first episode with Ankit Kohli on relationship building. The conversation was quite deep and insightful. We discussed about how to be authentic, how to take genuine interest to build relationships, clear, consistent communication, and being good for no reason. We will keep bringing you some more of these food for thought conversations. If you enjoyed this episode, do let us know. Also, if you have any feedback or want us to pick up a certain topic, reach out to us on Gmail, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Below are the links. Also, do remember to share it with your friends, family, and colleagues. And also to like, subscribe to us if you are watching it on YouTube, and follow us if you are listening to this on an audio platform. This is me, Abhishek Mittal, signing off. We will be back next week with another fascinating conversation. See you soon.